Welcome, my friends, to episode 24, which is called Picture. Two men, one in a white suit having the look of an educated businessman or a lawyer, and the other older, wearing worn and hard-worked, and enjoying a glass together of Capriana in the shade of a waterfront bar, as they did each time the riverboat captain called at the office of the other man to exchange bills, cash, and gossip from along the Amazon. The highly decorated bar was like a middle-aged former beauty queen, still very attractive, elegant even, but suffering some declining looks due to age and changing fashions. It had first been opened about 10 years after the Marlowe's Opera House, and had been an attempt at adopting a similar style. However, while the Opera House, with its dome brightly coloured in the same colours as the national flag and made up of 36,000 ceramic tiles, was a treasured and cared for monument, the bar had not been refurbished, and the current owners would be the last. However, in this slightly dark and customer-worn bar, something very important for our story is about to happen. Carla, the riverboat captain, and the riverboat owner and captain and Javaro had become more serious about sharing a joke. They'd become more serious after sharing a joke about the government of Brazil. Something strange I came across upriver, Javaro, last week. The riverboat captain reached into his inside pocket, taking out a very worn wallet, well stashed with a lot of rears. He opened the back pocket of the wallet and produced a Polaroid photograph. He placed it on the table between the glasses of the two men. Javaro looked at it. "What do you think of that, my friend?" Javaro studied the picture. Looks like two white Europeans on some sort of river tour, out to meet the forest people." "Ah, yes, but I know the Indians of the river as far as I go. These people are beyond that. They're from way up, one of the tributaries, not a place where we normally go. A place really, there's only the Indians. But it may be that no white people have ever been there, or few, until now, that is." "Emismo, how do you know this?" "I take supplies to a few places up the river, as you know. All of these I usually have a chat with, and there's a man who helps me unload and unload when we get to his village. He's where most of my stories come from. You've heard me talk about him. It was him who gave me the photo. He was given it by his father, who lives further up the Amazon in his home village." "So do you know where he got it from?" "Medlo says it came from a tribe further up the tributaries, maybe 100 kilometers from where he is, and well into the rainforest." "So what are they doing there, Carla? How did they get there?" "You ask me what I do not know, but the talk is that they fell out of the sky. The talk among the natives, I mean. Do you remember last year?" "Oh yes, the plane crash. The plane crashed somewhere in the rainforest up the river, all presumed dead. Look at her. The photo is not great, but is she not beautiful? And he, poor soul, he's an older person. Isn't that right? These native people, are they safe near them? The rumour up the river is that they've been there for months. Also that they're well thought of by the local people." "You are right, my friend, she is beautiful. And he is older. There were a lot of Europeans on that plane. Have you informed the authorities?" "What do I tell them? That somewhere up the river, in a part of the forest unexplored, there might be survivors of the crash. I don't know where. You know there's more rumour up and down the river. Who would take me seriously? She is linda marveloso. But is there some way you can find out the story is true? I mean, this photograph could have been taken almost anywhere. Outside the city, that is. It could even be a hoax." "True enough. I've tried to sort out fact from fiction, but you know how it is. You know I've got great respect for the native people. I sometimes think that they have more common sense than a lot of the people here in the city. But when the opinion is filling their heads, some wild stories follow. Oh yes, I've heard about their hallucinations, and how widely it's used among some of the people. Well, among the men, yes. It may be that some of these saw something, and someone here saw something in his hallucinations, and the whole story grew out of that. There's a village I know of where there's a man about your age, Javaro, and he's convinced that there's a tarantula near his village that is larger than a howler monkey. I'm quite sure that you saw this while he'd been indulging in openia or some other substance, but he's convinced of the giant spider's existence, and he refuses to take a hunting party of his villagers along one stretch of the tribe's territory. He's sure that's where this giant spider lives. He's afraid of this creature. Would you not be? He's normally a rational man and comes up the river to trade a little. No doubt he's an asset among his people in all other respects, but epimania-induced hallucinations have left him with a myth that he is sure is reality. This could all be the same, a myth about people from the sky. But Carla, this photo was not a product of an epimania session. True. But it could have just arrived at a good time to feed the fantasy. Then on the other hand, it could be that at least 2 have survived the crash. It's not very likely. No wreckage was ever even found of the plane. Oh, I remember a terrible tragedy. He sipped the last of his Capriana and stared thoughtfully at the picture on the wall of an exotic bird that had faded with time. This photograph, can I hold on to it a few days? Until your next trip, I'd like to try and make some inquiries of my own. Sure, my friend. Probably here in the city you've got more chance of getting the truth than I have, as I travel up and down the river with the rumours. Javiro put the photograph in his inside pocket and the 2 men parted company and left, one for his boat and the other for his office. This was originally chapter 13, Hope. Unusual for Christine Devlin, she'd overslept. Her night had been one of those frustrating nights when worry, despair, helplessness and fatigue combined to stop sleep. She'd even risen at 3:30 p.m. and had a cup of tea, read some more of her novel and tried to drive all her fears out of her mind. Then at 7 p.m, when she should have heard the radio alarm, she was in dead sleep and didn't wake until 7:45. What a rush! She had to be at the solicitor's office at 8:15 if she was to have any hope of cleaning it before they arrived at 9. She was about to go out the door when the telephone rang. Christine was going to ignore it. I'll leave a message, she thought, but something made her answer it. A very well-spoken, kindly voice said, "Good morning. Is that Mrs. Devlin?" "Yes." "Well, you don't know me. My name is Michael Saunterton. I am a lecturer at Southampton University." "You taught my daughter Belinda?" "Yes." "You wrote me a beautiful letter when the plane crashed. You said the most wonderful things about Belinda." "Yes, and you wrote a very nice letter back." "I'm glad I've caught you. Now listen, Mrs. Devlin, I neither wanted to send up your hopes or crash them down, but I've something I need to share with you. It may or may not be helpful, but it could just mean that there's a chance. A chance that Belinda's alive? Maybe, but it's complicated. What have you found? It's a bit hard to discuss on the phone. I was wondering if I could meet up with you and explain properly." "Yes, of course. Do you want me to come to Southampton?" "No, I'll have to be back in Southampton for a meeting at 4:30, but I would be quite happy to escape to Salisbury for a couple of hours. Will I come to your home at, say, 11? Christine thought for a few moments. Belinda was more important to her than anything else, but she still had to go to work, so she explained that. You suggest a time then, Mrs. Devlin, and a place near to your work." "What about 12:30? "Fine. Where?" "There's a restaurant called the Cross Keys at the entrance to a shopping mall. Meet me there upstairs. They all know me, so I'll get there just before you, and the girls will show you where I am." She didn't want to tell Mr. Saunterton that she was just working as a waitress. "Anyone in Salisbury will tell you where it is." Her heart was beating like a Lamberg drum. "Right. I'll see you there at 12:30 at the Cross Keys restaurant." So, my friends, there it is. The story now from Salisbury, working its way in the other direction toward Brazil. Look forward to sharing the next episode with you, and thank you for continuing to read or to listen. Greetings and love to everybody from Kate and myself. Bye for now. Bye.